Good morning and good afternoon, class. Thank you for tuning into Geometry AI. Before I get started into the lesson, I do want to congratulate each and every one of you. We did amazing yesterday, 1.1 classwork quiz. The scores were really strong. We're going to have a very strong year, and I have high hopes for each and every one of you. As long as we keep the pace, we keep taking great notes and doing our homework, we will do amazing. I guarantee it. Let's go ahead and get started on page 19. Again, we're on page 19. 1.2, measuring and constructing segments. So this is very simple. We have a line segment on part A, we're gonna measure it. If we start at 0, we will see that the line segment is 4 inches. What's interestingly about this is that if we start at 1, it'll go to 1 to 5 inches, the total length is still 4 inches. Again, if we start at 2 inches and we go to 6, the total length is still 4 inches. So again, we start at 0 to 4, the total length of this line segment is 4 inches. Now on your own paper, go ahead and copy 4-inch line segment onto part B. Again, use your ruler to copy a 4-inch line segment onto part B. We're gonna go down to C. So C says draw a line segment that has a length between 4 centimeters. So now we're on page 20. Between 4 centimeters to 10 centimeters. So let's go ahead and choose anything greater than 4 and less than 10. So you can have 4, 4.5, 5, what have you. Go ahead and draw that on part C now. And then using your protractor, copy that onto part D. So we're gonna copy a 4 centimeter to 10 centimeter line segment. Again, go ahead and use your protractor to mark that now. Now we're gonna go on to part E. What's interesting about part E is that there's an X, there's a Y, and then there is a Z. The most important thing to note here is that X and Y add up to form Z. Again, the X and the Y total the whole length of Z. So we can write that as the formula X plus Y equals Z. I don't want to get too abstract, but we need to be here. Now, using your protractor, we're going to measure. So, as we begin the measurements, we see that the total length is 3 inches. X is 1 inch and Y is 2 inches. That's important. So after we measure, X equals 1 inch, Y equals 2 inches, and Z equals 3 inches. And what's interesting is that when we substitute the values into the formula, again, we enter those inches. X is 1 inch, so 1 inch plus Y is 2 inches, 2 inches equals 3 inches. That is correct, that is true, and we see that because X plus Y equals Z. Now, that was a very simple version. We're about to get a little bit more complex. It's easy to start here with numbers 1, 2, and 3. We can do mental math. But once the numbers are in the hundreds or the tens, we will have to use either a calculator or we'll show our work to get the correct answer. So, we are now on page 21. Looking at page 21, we're just gonna walk through some of the vocab. We have a coordinate written as X, Y. Again, this is a coordinate. Our X value is always the first number. Our Y value is always the second number. And the distance between 2 points is really the distance from coordinate A to coordinate B. Again, the distance between 2 points is the distance between coordinate A and coordinate B. We'll be able to plug in values and use the formula AB line segment is equal to the value of the bigger x minus the value of the smaller x. So, to give an example, if this point A is at 1, 7, and this point is at 5, 7, the bigger x is 5, the smaller x is 1, and that means that the length of AB is 4. And remember, this is an absolute value, which means at the end, our answer will be positive. We already have a positive 4, so we don't have to worry about that. But in the future, let's make sure our answers are always positive when we talk about distance. So because the value of x is 1 here and the value of x is 5 here, 1 to 5 is 4 units. So that's the total distance. This is just an example. Again, that was just an example. Hope you wrote that down. We're now going to jump to number 20, again, page 22. There's a lot going on here on page 22, so let's break it down. So, a construction is a geometric drawing that uses a limited set of tools like a compass and a straight edge. A construction, there, I constructed a line segment. Really that simple. Let's not overcomplicate things. I just used a protractor to construct a line segment. So, if I use a protractor to construct this line segment and I measure it to be 6 inches, and I label it as AB, how can I copy and make another congruent line segment? Again, the word that we're using is congruent. Think of conjoined twins. Congruent, think of consistency. It is the same. Congruent equals same. Conjoined twins, again. So if that AB is 6 inches and I want to make YZ to be equal in length, then I would use a protractor or a ruler and measure out 6 inches. Now, the amazing thing is I have constructed two congruent line segments to show the world that these line segments are exact copies of each other. I'm gonna draw a congruency line. Again, this line right here is a hint that because they both share that line, they are congruent. You'll see this a lot in math. So let's go ahead and draw a different one that is 3. So here, CD is 3 inches, and JW is also 3 inches. We already have a 1 dashed line to signify 6 inches on our board, so we're gonna use a 2 dashed line to signify the congruency of 3-inch segments. So now I'm gonna draw one last segment that happens to be 6 inches. VP. VP is 6 inches. Will I mark it with 1 line or with 2 to make it congruent to the rest of the board? I would mark it with 1 line because all the other 6-inch line segments also have that 1 line congruency segment. So the important things to know are congruent means same, and that these tiny little ticks are valuable information. Don't overlook them. They're there for a reason. Now, we have 5 minutes to go, 5 minutes on the clock. Thank you for keeping the pace and taking active notes. Again, thank you for keeping the pace. We are now going to begin looking at the segment addition postulate on page 23. Again, common sense. Let's just talk about common sense, okay? I don't want to confuse anyone. And we do not have to overcomplicate anything at all. In the middle-ish of page 23, we see example 3. Example 3. And example 3 has part A, and part A has the instructions to find line segment DF, right? DF is a line that goes on forever and ever, but we want to measure the distance from D all the way over to F, and we're not using a ruler. Instead, we're going to use the information provided. Here it says that from D to E is a total distance of 23 units. And from E to F is a total distance of 35 units. So if from D to E is 23 units and E to F is 35 units, then we can add, again, we can add 23 to 35 to get the total distance from D to F. So, again, D to E is 23, E to F is 35, then the total from D to F is the addition, which is going to be 58 units. That is the common sense version. To get very technical for a second, all we need to remember on a technical standpoint is that line segment DF is equal to the addition of line segment DE with the addition of EF, because E, again, point E is between. Okay? An easy way to think of this is your friend Derek's house, and this is your friend Frank. If your name is Emmanuel, and Derek is going to Frank's place, Emmanuel is going to call up Derek and say, hey, pick me up on the way to Frank's. You're going to pass by my house, right? Why? Because Emmanuel is between them. In the same way we would call a friend and say, hey, I'm already on the way, go ahead and give me a ride. The same can be said for this line segment. Just try to think of it in the real world in that way. I know we're a little bit short on time. We have 60 seconds. So the last part is going to be very, very quick, and then I'll cut it short. We're gonna finish off with B. The last example used addition. This one will use subtraction, and then we will have graduated from lesson 1.2. The total length is 36. F and G is 21, so we're missing GH. We're missing it. If the total is 36, and we have F and G as 21, then we can subtract this portion out and be left with this portion. 36 minus 21 is 15. So GH is 15 units. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are now ready to begin practicing what we learned about Unit 1.2. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me. Again, I'm here for your convenience. Thank you again for following along to Common Sense Geometry AI, and I have very high hopes for each and every one of you.